out, they've already got him down to JD Sport and they put him in, like, the classic grey tracksuit of trouble. I think it's quite impressive.
I am disappointed that none of the headline writers have gone with Trump goes Caracas, though.
Why
haven't they done it?
Trump goes Caracas. What about Trump? You're fired.
Where's the creativity? We need to tell. I mean, maybe it's because all the press today were just so shocked by this story, like we all were. But listen, we're going to get cracking onto these front pages. We're going to get cracking on this story. We'll bring you more live images as it breaks. But first, we're going to get your news bulletins with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you, Alex. Good evening to you. 4 minutes past 11 here in the GB newsroom. The Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores have arrived in New York after being ousted by US forces in a military attack. A plane carrying the pair landed near Stewart Air Base a short time ago, where they've been indicted on charges of narco-terrorism. Now, the person that appeared to be President Maduro emerged with a hood over his head, surrounded by a large number of security officials. He and his wife will now be processed and transferred to prison. They could appear in court as soon as Monday. The Venezuelan leader was captured earlier by US forces and taken out of the country on a Navy vessel after large-scale strikes on the capital, Caracas. Donald Trump says the US will now take control of the country until a new administration can be installed.
We are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we...
Well, the Prime Minister says the UK regards Nicolas Maduro as an illegitimate president and has long supported a transition of power in Venezuela. Sir Keir Starmer reiterated his support for international law and says the government will shed no tears about the end of the regime. Earlier, Sir Keir confirmed the UK played no part in the operation.
I want to speak to President Trump. I want to speak to allies. As I say, I can be absolutely clear that we were not involved in that. And as you know, I always say and believe we should all uphold international law.
More breaking news. The UK has carried out strikes against Islamic State in Syria. The Ministry of Defence says RAF Typhoons joined French aircraft in a joint strike on an underground facility which they say had been occupied by Daesh, also known as ISIS, on Saturday, adding it was most likely being used to store weapons and explosives. The strikes took place in the mountains north of the ancient site of Palmyra. The RAF says it's devoid of any civilian habitation and there were no civilian casualties. A murder is among two prisoners who remain at large after absconding from prison on New Year's Day. Matthew Armstrong on the left of your picture and Daniel Washburn are understood to have left HMP Leyhill in South Gloucestershire on Thursday evening. Police want to hear from anyone who has information about their whereabouts. The search for a missing person has been called off after two bodies were recovered from the sea off the coast of East Yorkshire. A 67-year-old man died at the scene at Withersea yesterday afternoon. A second body was recovered last night. It's understood they were trying to help a teenage girl who was washed away. Police say the circumstances are not believed to be suspicious. Two managers of the bar where a blaze killed at least 40 people in Switzerland on New Year's Day have been placed under criminal investigation. They're suspected of having committed homicide, arson and causing bodily harm by negligence. The blaze in Crans, Montana injured a further 119 people. 4 victims of the fire have been identified, 2 16-year-olds, a girl and a boy, along with another 2 people aged 18 and 21, all of whom were Swiss. And Luke Littler has beaten Jan van Veen to win back-to-back World Darts Championship titles. The 18-year-old thrashed the Dutchman 7-1 to join Phil Taylor, Adrian Lewis and Gary Anderson in winning successive crowns. And he's cemented his place as one of the all-time greats of the sport. Luke the Nuke, the world number 1, has hit an average of almost 106, 15 maximums on the night, and a big fish 170 checkout in a dominant performance at Ali Pali. So congratulations to Luke Littler. That's it for the moment. Now it's back to Alex.
Welcome back to the show. That helicopter image we were showing you earlier on was former president of Venezuela, Maduro. They're bringing it to you exclusively here on GBNews. We don't know if any of our competitors actually managed to get it, so there we go. Happy days. Maybe if they did, maybe they didn't. Now, look, you'd think that there'd be loads to talk about in the papers, wouldn't you? But let's run through them together, shall we? The Sun. They're saying nicked. Yes, this now infamous picture of former President Maduro, the Sunday Telegraph. Trump to run Venezuela. I thought he was going to run the Gaza Strip. Now he's running Venezuela. He's going to be a very busy man, isn't he? The Independent. Trump captures Maduro and vows to run Venezuela. You see a trend here, can you? The Mail on Sunday. Trump, I'm running Venezuela. The Observer. America's captive. Now, this is an interesting angle, isn't it? I'm very excited to dig into this angle here because I think the Observer aren't very happy, are they? The Daily Star. Peace-loving Trump attacks Venezuela. There we go. The Sunday Express. Captured. And the Sunday Times. Will run Venezuela, vows United States after capture of Maduro. OK, well, there you have it, everybody. That's all of your front pages so far there. We'll bring you some more as we get them. Yeah, there's not really much else to say other than what we are currently talking about. And joining me now is Toria Brooke, a US political commentator. Toria, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to have your company on the show. Toria, what is going to be the political fallout for Donald Trump over this? Is this going to give his opponents in the Democrats more ammunition to call him a dictator, or, as we've seen from the Washington Post, who've quite extraordinarily, their board seems to have backed Donald Trump's action here. How is this going to play out for Donald Trump?
See, I don't think he's going to get any backlash for this. In fact, I think Operation Absolute Resolve was peace through strength, and we are truly executing the most skilled military operations in the world. I mean, you saw this. I think the world is witnessing what it's like to have a president who truly cares about his people, and not only just the American people, but the world. The Venezuelan people are celebrating right now in the streets over what just happened. And no matter what the left's going to try to say, we know that if it was Biden in office and this happened, they'd be celebrating it. So I'm personally pretty happy about this.
Yeah, Toria, former President Joe Biden had famously tweeted that Trump loves Maduro, that he loves people like that. He would ensure, Biden said he would ensure that he supports democracy in Venezuela. A little bit of egg on Democrats' face over that one, perhaps, as Trump seems to have taken the most decisive action of any recent United States president on issues such as this.
Yes, and now, I mean, Venezuela has the largest oil reserve in the world, so it's going to present an issue for the BRICS nations because now we have even greater leverage for negotiations, and I think that rare earth mineral powders, as well as the silver and gold reserves around the world, are going to end up coming to the table for really the art of the deal, as President Trump loves to handle. I think that these nations they're in for a treat.
Yeah, Toria, do you expect, I mean, Marco Rubio's, again, as we've spoken about before, from that part of the world, not from Venezuela, because I believe he's from Cuba, but, you know, do we expect now, with this emboldened administration, that they will go after more sitting dictators in the sphere of influence, is what we call it, that sort of South America part of the world that China has been making inroads in? And I would say China is America's biggest enemy and adversary right now. Do you expect more political interventions or military interventions in America's sphere of influence?
I do. Today, Marco Rubio actually said that if you are a politician in Cuba, you should be a little bit concerned right now. And I'm glad that you brought up China, because there are many people that were speculating that China had influence in and around Venezuela in the waters regarding unmanned drone submarines. Now, China, we know, was meeting with Venezuela yesterday. And in fact, the diplomats were still there when the U.S. struck. So I do think that we're going to intervene in Cuba as well as other areas, and Iran's on the table now as well.
I mean, we were going to talk about Iran tonight. Apologies for anyone watching at home who wanted to see that. We will bring it to you tomorrow night because there's a lot I want to say on that issue. But, Toria, you're right. I do think we're going to see a much emboldened administration here. Now, Trump hasn't got another presidential election to face. So many could say that he actually has nothing to lose by going to this. But there is midterm elections. Will this work in favour for the Republicans? Because the MAGA right has at least had some disagreement over whether America should be an interventionist nation or whether it should be an isolationist nation, saying the rest of you get on with it, we need to focus on ourselves. How do you think this will impact Trump's MAGA fan base?
Well, I think that right now we are looking for lower gas prices, and this will accomplish exactly that. Because now we're going to be dealing oil out to all these other nations, and we're actually going to bring wealth back to Venezuela. So the people that are there that are celebrating, we are going to make their lives more prosperous. So I think the gas pump is going to get a lot more affordable, in part because of this whole operation.
Indeed. Toria Brooke, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me this evening. I've got my panel here with me in the studio. Of course, I would bring you some front pages, but what else is there to bring you? We've already been talking about this story well ahead of the press today here at GB News. I've got my panel, comedian Diane Spencer's here, former Labour advisor Paul Richards and Reform UK councillor Jamie McIver. What's an interesting part of this story, Jamie, is that former President Maduro, I'm getting used to saying that, former Venezuelan President Maduro made some claims. We heard some rumours and some speculation that he wanted to do a deal with Donald Trump. He wanted something along the range of $200 million and, you know, to be allowed to leave. It looks like Trump said, no, actually, bad deal. I'm coming to get you. Is this the sort of leadership that we want to see in the West?
Well, yeah, I think actually what Donald Trump is proving that he's here to govern for what's right for the West, what's right for Americans, and actually, you know, he takes no nonsense and clearly takes no prisoners. But I think it also goes to show the mentality of the former leader of Venezuela, because actually he's a selfish person. He's always put his self-interest over what was right for his country. But interesting what the Times is saying, that Starmer insists that the UK will shed no tears. What I don't understand is why it's taken till this late stage for our Prime Minister to come out with that sort of position. Why couldn't he say that this morning when he was being interviewed? Like, you know, don't really know what the US have actually done, but as far as I can see, I'm not shedding any tears over the loss of that leader. It's like he's had to wait for the Downing Street WhatsApp group to quickly wake up from a hangover, to quickly tell everybody. And I'm sure, actually, he was probably chatting to all the European leaders, probably doodling on his notepad, you know, United States of Europe response is, because this is just a Prime Minister that has no opinion. But I think it's very strange that we're seeing a very delayed reaction from other Western leaders who you'd think would all be in tune on this from a very early stage. It's all very, very delayed, very weak, very, very weird, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a massive shock. I mean, to be honest with you, when I sort of woke up and I saw what had happened, it just took me a minute. And even my husband and I, we just stood in the kitchen going, right, OK, so that's happened. What do you want for breakfast? Like, I can understand that, like, Keir Starmer and the rest of the sort of European leaders all went, do you know what? Should we just sort out the social care policy for just 5 minutes? We'll get back to this because we can't even deal with what Trump's doing right now. Let's just focus on our problems for 5 minutes. I'd like to think that was what happened instead.
Yeah, but Paul, I'll put this to you. I'm looking at some of Joe Biden, the former US president's tweets here, and he says stuff like this. Trump talks tough on Venezuela, but admires thugs and dictators like Nicolas Maduro. As president, I will stand with the Venezuelan people and for democracy. And there's a few more that say the same sort of thing here. This is the problem, isn't it? We've got so used to this empty, vacuous words by politicians who are meant to be empowered to do something. They say they're going to do things. They're going to stand with Venezuelan people. What does that even mean? Trump has at least taken decisive action, hasn't he?
Well, he's picking and choosing his dictators, though, isn't he? Because he pardoned the president of Honduras, who was a narco-criminal, and he's not doing anything about Bolsonaro, and he's failed to stand up to Putin. So,
but this might be the first. Well, you might have to eat those words, doesn't he? What if because this is exactly what Joe Biden said, and then he's got egg on his face.
Well, that's why I said let's see what happens tomorrow and the day after. You know,
carefully put.
But it's certainly distracting all the attention away from the Epstein files, from his health, all of his domestic issues. You know, this is now the big global story. So he's managed to totally change the agenda in the coming days as well. I'm just wondering.
I'm going to ask you about.
Can I just say one thing though, which is about the Star. For once, the Daily Star have got the most perspicacious headline, I think, which is "Peace-loving Trump attacks Venezuela," just highlighting this idea that he was supposed to be elected on a ticket of no more wars, peace. He wanted the Nobel Peace Prize. He's not getting it now, is he? And I wonder if FIFA are going to want their prize back too, frankly, because he is now a president of war.
But I mean, listen, he did change the Department of, what was it, Department of Defence to the Department of War for a reason.
He wasn't kidding, was he?
I think a lot of us, we don't put the piece of the puzzle together very well anymore, do we? Because
yeah, the clues were there, right?
I mean, the clues were there.
Yeah,
the clues were there. I mean, he would argue that actually I'm doing this to make peace, because because what's going on in Brazil is
war is
I beg your
peace.
pardon, Venezuela.
War is peace.
Yeah, strength
is innocent.
strength
Peace through strength.
Peace through strength.
Comes to mind. And
Thank
actually,
you, Jamie.
what's the point of having all of this gear if you're not going to use it when you can actually, in the national interest, make things better for your own people? You know, every state's priority has to be its own people. And I do believe that Donald Trump's mindset here is, I can make my country better, whether that's the oil, whether that's the illegal drug activity that's going on. I do believe he's thinking of Americans and America's future being better without this person in place.
But it is about oil. Let's just be really super clear with everybody. You know,
Trump's been clear about that.
According to the DEA, right, Venezuela does not produce any fentanyl at all, according to the DEA. So, you know, to make that the big excuse is a gamble.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? Because this whole thing is going to be put on trial, which I think is the most exciting part of all of this. And there's no doubt that trial is going to be televised, right?
Popcorn moment,
this will be a popcorn moment. Let's hope he does it on a Saturday, because he seems to love interrupting my shows. He did it last weekend. He did it a few weekends before that. So, I mean, maybe Donald Trump just wants to give me breaking news. I don't know. But listen, we're going to dig into far more of this. What is going to happen next? We're going to try and dig into all of that. What are the consequences for Europe? Have we been left in the dark here? It seems very much so. I woke up this morning feeling the same way that you did, actually. I was like, oh, I'm going to get my cornflakes and then we'll start there. Right, but anyway, listen, if you are at home and you want a bit of a getaway, then it's time now for the Great British Giveaway. And 2026, you know, it might be the last time any of us can travel, frankly. An incredible 85 grand to be won, so you might want to make the most of it. And Hayley Sparks has got all the details you need.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village. Or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Coming up, US correspondent Sarah Firth joins us live from Washington, D.C. to analyse the fallout of this tremendous, huge story. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
I think it's just good, honest, humble food. And yeah, as people get away from the ultra-processed stuff and get back to their roots, and what's better than a good jacket potato?
Do you know what? Sales of jacket spuds have gone through the roof. The big potatoes at Waitrose. There's been a 178% increase in people looking at recipes. And I just think it's wholesome, it's affordable, it's comfortable, you know, it makes you feel good, it's back to basics. That, I think, at the moment, sums up the nation.
I think very much it being affordable as well. With the climate we're living in at the moment, it definitely helps knowing, you know, you're putting food on the table for a reasonable price, and people appreciate that. And it's good, honest food. You can feed your kids, and kids are seeing it on social media, and they're getting excited about it as well. So they're not like, you know, obviously everyone sees all the big brands, and now there's all these, jacket potato people out there, and we're giving them something that's healthy, and they want to eat it, and I think the parents appreciate that.
And Ben, I've seen your videos. They queue around the block to get to you. If people are in the mood to cook a potato tonight, of course, we don't want to affect your sales. What is your sort of top of the pop spud recipe? Give it to us.
Oh, it's all about variety. It's picking the right potato is really important. Get a nice melody or a cara or culture or something like that. Nice and big. In the oven, if you can. Hour and 20. Get a nice crispy skin on there. Loads of butter, loads of cheese, and a nice curry on top or something. That's my go-to.
Ooh. Now that was a final little curveball they threw at the last minute there, Ben.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition. It's all been kicking off. It's only 3 days into 2026. What on earth is going on? Well, to digest this a little bit more, I've got US correspondent Sarah Firth joining me live from Washington, D.C. Sarah, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Quite a momentous moment in the history of the United States and the history of Donald Trump's administration. We're not even a year in, technically, to Trump taking office for the second time. He was inaugurated on the 20th of January and the 3rd of January. He's setting his agenda out, it seems, for 2026. What is going to be the fallout in Washington, D.C., Sarah?
Well, you're right, Alex. An extraordinary moment, extraordinary events that have played out. And we got a little bit more detail today because President Trump gave the press conference in the wake of that breaking news a little earlier on today. And we now know that this was a tightly controlled US military operation ordered by President Trump and carried out with special forces, special American forces on the ground. You've seen those extraordinary pictures coming out of Venezuela of that underway. And now Nicolas Maduro, the former president of Venezuela, on US soil, where he is expected to face those federal charges related to narcotics traveling. It has really been a lot of shock here in Washington, although many of us have been on edge around this issue, right? So President Trump in recent times has really been putting the pressure on the Maduro government, on that regime. He calls it a narco-terrorist regime. So we've known and we've seen the US actions. I'm pretty close to the Pentagon where I am. And we've seen those types of actions taken out on drug trafficking boats, for example. But this is being called by some here in the US regime change action. There's a pretty divided opinion depending on who you speak to. The critics of this are already coming out and saying, look, this didn't have authorization from Congress. They're calling it illegal. Supporters of this are saying, look, this is a law enforcement operation. There was an indictment out for him. This is simply that being exercised. And you heard President Trump speaking today in that press conference. Alex, it was at times, very, very confident, as is his way, but at times almost bordering on casual, describing, the remarkable events that we've seen play out in the first couple of days of this year.
Really is, Sarah. It's been quite a remarkable. I mean, I don't know about you, but I woke up this morning with complete shock seeing this military action. Of course, Sarah, we've got just some live images for the audience to say of the DEA headquarters. We suspect that they will at least be driving past that area. We'll of course keep those live images coming in. Here are the headquarters just here on your screens now for those of you watching there in Manhattan. We're expecting them to drive past. We will bring those live images as we get to them. Sarah, the Democrats will probably seize on this, won't they? This will be an opportunity for them to point to things and say, well, listen, you promised that you'll be the president of peace. You've now taken military action in your first year taking office again. But will Trump really be bothered by this? He hasn't got to seek re-election, and he's probably now, I assume, following an agenda that he feels fit for America. Are we about to see a different Donald Trump? Maybe less of a MAGA Donald Trump?
Yes, I think, look, speaking to many sources here in the Capitol, a lot of people are seeing this as a turning point in America, in the way that the Trump administration exercises American power. There's still, though, a lot that we don't know here. I'd say there are three main questions sort of outstanding that are running through the Capitol and across America tonight, even in the wake of that press conference. Well, we did hear President Trump give some extraordinary detail. He was flanked there by his head of national security chiefs. So you had all the top brass in the room giving really remarkable detail. The president at one point saying, well, Maduro had been heading for that reinforced door of a safe room. He hadn't quite managed to shut the door when he was captured. And of course, Alex, just to remind viewers, before we got that press conference, there was a little bit of a delay. And just before he came out to speak to the media, that photo being released, extraordinary image of Maduro handcuffed in his sweatsuit that has gone round the world. And really the reverberations of both the image, but of course the action behind that's resulted in the image, sending shockwaves around the world. Look, the questions that are being asked here, number one, who is going to govern Venezuela now? And at certain points in that press conference, President Trump had said, look, my Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, that they're going to be helping to run things along with the government that are currently in place. They said Rubio has already spoken to the vice president who was sworn in as the new president. That is pretty remarkable. Another big question that is being asked here is, of course, what about Congress? There has been no authorization vote. You've got a lot of Democrats, as you said, Alex, seizing on this moment, calling for immediate briefings, wanting to see more detail behind this. Again, the president, his national security staff, they were saying, look, with this type of operation, there is no way that you can seek prior approval. President Trump saying there would have been leaks that would have endangered American military lives. And we know that this was a long-running operation, that they had teams on the ground that were essentially tracking Maduro's move, that enabled the special forces to be able to get to him as rapidly as they did. So that is what President Trump and his administration are saying. But another big outstanding question here is, of course, how does this end? And you've got even supporters of this action and long-term allies like Lindsey Graham, Republican. He is saying, look, this was action that I support, but we know that regime change is very difficult. It's very complicated. So there are questions being asked here. American boots, President Trump confirming, were on the ground during this operation. He made it very clear he is not uncomfortable with the prospect, potentially, of that being the case moving forward. But there are really big questions about the parameters of exactly what comes next. And Alex, remember, you've seen Keir Starmer's response today from the UK. The UK were involved in the last three regime change wars, if you like, that the US exercised, Libya, Iraq and Afghanistan. This is very much an America-led operation in its backyard. President Trump making it very clear that this is a message not just to Venezuelans, but to America's adversaries around the world and to its allies, that this is not a president who is going to mess around.
Indeed. Sarah, just very, very briefly, if you don't mind, could this lead to impeachment of the President, Donald Trump, if the Congress or others finds that he's in breach of his powers?
Well, that's going to be something that I'm sure you'll see discussed in the coming days, Alex. Look, the Congress are calling for a briefing. It's expected that they're going to be getting more details from those remarkable events that we've seen play out. The president has made it very clear Maduro is now in the US. He's going to be facing those narcotics trafficking charges. It's actually thought that potentially, I can see you've got the live images running for viewers there in New York. It's expected that possibly we could see Maduro facing down a jury as early as Monday. I mean, that would be very, very rapid, but you look at the pace of the developments over the last 24 hours. You know, we were all woken up at sort of 2:30 a.m. in the morning here in the US as those images started coming in from Venezuela. President Trump making it very, very clear. This is something, I mean, at one point he actually said, Alex, I know you've talked about this, that we'll be running Venezuela for the time being. That is an extraordinary statement from an American president who did. He did promise his base that he would be the one to take America out of foreign conflict. So there are some raised eyebrows among some in his base, but remarkable developments from here in the US. And we'll be following it all very closely for you guys, Alex.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for that very detailed account of what's been going on there politically, as well as perhaps the constitutional repercussions for the President of the United States too. Thank you for joining me. All right, listen, coming up, a bit of a different story here. A murderer is among 2 prisoners who remain at large after what the government call absconding. We'll tell you what that word means in a second if you're not sure what it is. From prison on New Year's Day. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition. Go to the loo, yes.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The weather across the southern parts of Europe may not be as cold as it is here at the moment, but it is looking pretty unsettled. There's some heavy thundery rain pushing across parts of Madeira, the Canary Islands, and into southern parts of Portugal and Spain as well. Also further outbreaks of rain further east, heavy rain and hill snow spreading across many parts of the Balkans, causing some impacts here. More changeable weather to come as we go through the next few days and into the beginning of next week. I'll see you later.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather. Some of us have seen some lovely crisp winter sunshine today, others heavy snow showers, and it will turn very cold tonight and icy, a northerly wind across us, the air coming all the way down from the Arctic, so everyone's noticing that chill. It will stay with us for another few days at least. Widespread cold and ice and frost across the whole of the UK as we head through the evening and overnight. Further heavy snow showers for northern Scotland, sleet and snow showers for Northern Ireland, West Wales, the West Country. Elsewhere, icy stretches, still a few wintry showers down the east coast and temperatures well below freezing for everyone, perhaps down to -8 to -10 in 1 or 2 spots across the glens of Scotland. But looking at the details for Sunday morning, a very icy start, further heavy snow showers pushing through across central and northern parts of Scotland. Disruption likely, temperatures well below freezing. Some sunshine through the central belt and the borders region, wintry showers for Northern Ireland, a sunny start for much of England, but wintry showers for western parts of Wales and the West Country as well, leading to some icy stretches. Met Office warnings out right through the rest of the weekend into the beginning of next week. As we go through Sunday, plenty of sunshine across central and eastern parts of England, but wintry showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, western fringes of England and Wales. Some of these will be on the wintry sides, will be heavy with hail and snow and could lead to further accumulations and icy stretches. Temperatures struggling to rise much above freezing, leading to another very cold night into Monday morning. So another frosty start, icy stretches, warnings remain in place. Through the day, we'll see some sleet and snow showers, but plenty of winter sunshine as well. And then it just gradually becomes a little less cold as we head towards the middle of the week, with still some rain and snow around.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, a slight change of tune now from the Maduro story, but kind of similar because it's about prison and people being locked up, because a murderer is among 2 prisoners who remain at large after absconding from prison on New Year's Day. Matthew Armstrong on the left, no relation by the way, and Daniel Washbourne are understood to have left HMP Leyhill in South Gloucestershire on Thursday evening. Well, joining us now is journalist and broadcaster David Shipley. David, thank you very much for joining me. The government are using the word absconding, a bit like a naughty schoolchild, but this is a little bit more serious than that, David. What do you know about this story?
Well, the distinction here is because this is an open prison, they haven't technically escaped. So the phrase they would use to describe it is abscond. And open prisons are a bit strange and they don't really have walls or heavy security, and they're generally only for the lowest security prisoners who can really be trusted. Sometimes people will do very silly things and walk out of those prisons. What's unusual here, though, is the guy who's in prison for a murder. So men on life sentences who've committed murder, if they get to an open prison, it's usually because they've spent decades being good prisoners, working their way through the system to get to the point where they could be considered potentially to get released.
David, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, because I know there's going to be people screaming at me at home going, well, how? I appreciate he may have had good conduct, but he's still a murderer. What on earth are the government thinking putting murderers in open prisons?
Well, I think currently we have a system where if you're a murderer, you're serving a life sentence and you have a chance of getting parole at some point. And what the system likes to do is test people before they get to apply for parole by putting them in an open prison, essentially to see if they mess up. And within that system, I think it does have some benefits, because this guy clearly can't be released because he's just walked out and shown he can't be trusted. But it is very unusual for people on life sentences to leave an open prison like this, and that's quite peculiar. Sometimes you see it'll be like a young guy who realizes his girlfriend back home is going out with some other man and goes home to have an argument with her. It's that sort of stuff. That's a normal abscond from an open prison. The man who's in for murder doing it, I think, is quite unusual and more concerning.
Yeah, David, I think people will be looking at the state of our prisons over particularly the last 8 months, where we've seen chaotic scenes of people being accidentally released time and time again. The Justice Secretary, David Lammy, and Deputy Prime Minister has had to go on our airwaves and try and explain the justice issue we have. The government are releasing criminals early all the time. We've now had a murderer been put into an open prison and abscond, as they say. It does feel like we've got a serious crisis on our hands. I don't even know what to say. Should we expect to hear from the Deputy Prime Minister about this?
Well, I think they'll probably say that people abscond from prisons relatively often, and it's not that big a deal. They expect to recapture him. And I would say, if you go back to the early 2000s, I looked at the statistics for this, there were thousands of people a year absconding from open conditions. So it's dropped a lot now. It's in the sort of the tens, thank God. The other point about the problems in the justice system you didn't mention there is that the probation service are failing as well. And the Inspector of Probation did a big report that came out a couple of weeks ago showing that serious further offences being committed by people on probation are going up and up. So the whole system is just creating more crime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly very shocking, David. Listen, thank you so much for joining me this evening. So we've got lots of developing stories this evening. David, really appreciate you joining me. David Shipley there, broadcaster and journalist. Let's go back to my panel here. Jamie, you see these stories and I'm just so baffled. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Well, I was literally sitting in this chair, a few months ago when a prisoner who sexually assaulted somebody in the town near where I live was accidentally released, one of the most high-profile prisoners going, Hadush Kabatu. And what I think is very frightening about this particular instance, first of all, like your viewers, I feel like shouting at the television saying, why on earth would somebody convicted of murder be in an open prison? But more to the point is, imagine if you were the person on the witness stand that gave the evidence that got this person the guilty verdict, and now you find that this person is now potentially walking the streets on his way to yours. I mean, it is frightening. And I think the government, I don't know if they don't realise that the public really believe that when somebody goes to prison, they're locked away and they are therefore safe. What is happening in this country now, because of incompetence, which starts at the top, by the way, the leader of our country is incompetent. His secretaries of state are incompetent. So that filters right down to frontline staff. Clearly, this is a massive error, like we've seen in other places, and that's because the culture in this country at the moment is utter chaos and incompetence, and it's very, very sad, because at the heart of this are victims of crime who will be frightened. Is the person that tried to kill them 2 years ago, who's now in prison, hopefully for 20-odd years, are they the next person to be released? How would you feel as a victim of crime?
Paul?
Well, bit rich being lectured on incompetence by the people running Kent County Council. So, you know...
Thriving council.
Yeah, well, thriving with the council tax going up against the wishes of the
Kent
local
County
people.
Council
Utter
are doing a
chaos
phenomenal
in
job. I'm proud of all the reform councils are doing a phenomenal job.
Kent is
no
an absolute
potholes in
basket
Derbyshire,
case.
27,000 down to zero. I could lecture you on all the KPIs.
You sound like a politician justifying the unjustifiable. That's my job.
That knows how phenomenal reform councils are doing. In Nottinghamshire, we now have SEND outcomes above national average,
Absolutely
inherited
nonsense. I mean, honestly.
average. But you know, that's facts. I know lefties don't like those.
On this, I mean, the criminal justice system is in crisis and chaos, and we recognise that, and there aren't enough prison officers. They're not well paid enough. It's not enough of an esteemed job with status. The courts are backlogged. There aren't enough prison places. You know, this is an inheritance of absolute chaos that we took off the Tories. Now, there's no one here on the panel to defend the Tories. If they were here, they would say, you know, whatever they would say. But that's the reality. It is the Tories' fault.
Diane, quick word from you on this one.
Well, I just think it's deeply worrying, and thankfully that, I mean, what do you do? They're not from the Avon and Somerset area. That's where they were imprisoned at HMP Leyhill, and thankfully their pictures are out there. So have a good look at their pictures, and if you see them, because they should not have left. They had a sentence left to run. They have proved they are untrustworthy, and hopefully they will be caught as soon as possible and put back behind bars.
What on earth was a murderer, this is all I care about, what on earth was a murderer doing in open prison? There is no justification for it. There is no justification. This country is insane. Coming up, more live pictures from New York, another insane story. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I mean, what a show it's been tonight, through and through. We've had the news of Maduro. We found out that the UK's bombed parts of Syria. We've had prisoners in open prison being absconding. I mean, it is insane, isn't it? It's absolutely insane. We've got these live images here for you from New York as former president of Venezuela, Maduro, has landed in the United States. Diane, you have been waiting to talk about this all evening. Go ahead. What's the bit you want to dig into the most?
OK, well, my first question is, do you think they're going to find Maduro guilty?
Yes, I think they probably will. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gutted. I was hoping for a big, whole courtroom drama.
No, I think he's going to be found pretty guilty.
Where's the jeopardy in that? Come on, we need a bit of, excitement.
I don't think they spend millions of dollars extracting this bloke and they'll find him innocent and go, whoopsie, put you back.
Yeah. To be fair,
yes, put it back on the flight. Yeah.
The last big famous trophy that the DEA got, in my mind, not El Chapo. In my mind, it was actually Escobar. But you think about the photos. I mean, Escobar was dead on a rooftop. They're all round him he was a lion. Yeah. Here you've got Maduro with his Lady Gaga glasses on. I mean, to be fair, he's doing a lot better than Escobar did. Yeah. But let's talk about Trump. So Trump says he's gonna run Venezuela, right? And my question was, is he gonna do what they did? Is he going to make everybody use Trump coin? Mm-hmm. Is he going to put in a couple of golf courses? What is he going to do?
Well, he said he wants to make Venezuela great again.
That to me says a golf course.
Possibly so. Possibly so. I mean, this is a man who says he wants to run Gaza as well as Venezuela and perhaps more. But we could also expect Cuba, some other socialist, communist dictatorships around the world, even Iran, perhaps, Stan.
Well, I mean, there are, as far as I can tell, 4 legitimate people who could step into the position of being in charge of Venezuela right now. Mm-hmm. Because this is something we were discussing earlier, people never think about the day after. Right, so there are 4 as far as I can tell. There's the Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, but she's apparently been chatting already to Marco Rubio, and we all know Marco Rubio absolutely hates Maduro, and he's been trying to get rid of him for ages. Yes. So if Delcy's got any sense, she's played up to Marco Rubio and gone, no, don't worry, I'll just hand the keys over and tell them what all the passwords are for the computers. There's the defense minister, this guy, Pedrino Lopez. But the thing about him is that there was no military intervention, because if you think about it, right, if the military tried to intercede right now, it would be stupid, because Maduro's already gone. He's landed in New York. He's going to be in Ghislaine Maxwell's old cell. He's going to look at the wall. It's going to say Diddy was here. And then there's no point in them getting involved. If the military get involved at this point, they could all lose their jobs.
Yeah, true.
So perhaps the military will kind of play it cool and not get involved. And then there's the opposition leader, the lady who won the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, Trump, do you not think this is massive? Because Trump has kind of gone, OK, you won the Nobel Peace Prize, but look who gave you back Venezuela. Boom!
But he's also, I think he's also come out and said that he doesn't think she's capable of running the country.
What?
So I think the question, unfortunately, Diane, is still open as to who runs Venezuela.
Well,
I don't know.
He's going to put in all the oil companies. So he's already said he's going to do that. So he's sending in all the oil companies to rebuild the infrastructure. But I think he's going to run it like a business. business.
Everyone in Greenland and Canada is going, oh, I think Trump's too busy now. I think everyone's very much relaxing there now.
But that's exactly what he was doing, because he was edging around Greenland, edging around Canada, but he's just gone in with Venezuela.
Right, well, there you have it, everybody. It is, it's been a momentous evening, a historic evening. Thank you for joining us. Let me run through the papers with you here. Let's start with The Sun. Nicked. There you go, that's all I have to say. Telegraph, Trump to run Venezuela. The Independent, Trump captures Maduro and vows to run Venezuela. The Mail on Sunday, Trump, I'm running Venezuela. The Observer, America's captive. The Daily Star, peace-loving Trump attacks Venezuela. The Sunday Express, captured. The Sunday Times, will run Venezuela, vows United States after capture of Maduro. There you go. This is literally it, isn't it? This is the end of the world. It is Maduro and Trump. Who would have thought it? It's literally every front page. I mean, I just can't. It's incredible to see. It really is. Listen. Thank you all so much for joining me on this historic evening. We'll obviously be trying to keep you up to date here at GB News. Tomorrow I will bring you that story about Iran. I promise you. Tune in tomorrow, 9 o'clock. I'll bring you the updates on this and what's happening in Iran. See you then.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather. Some of us have seen some lovely crisp winter sunshine today. Others heavy snow showers, and it will turn very cold tonight and icy, a northerly wind across us, the air coming all the way down from the Arctic, so everyone's noticing that chill, and it will stay with us for another few days at least. Widespread cold and ice and frost across the whole of the UK as we head through the evening and overnight. Further heavy snow showers for northern Scotland, sleet and snow showers for Northern Ireland, West Wales, the West Country. Elsewhere, icy stretches, still a few wintry showers down the east coast, and temperatures well below freezing for everyone, perhaps down to -8 to -10 in one or two spots across the Glens of Scotland. But looking at the details for Sunday morning, a very icy start, further heavy snow showers pushing through across central and northern parts of Scotland. Disruption likely, temperatures well below freezing. Some sunshine through the central belt and the borders region, wintry showers for Northern Ireland, a sunny start for much of England, but wintry showers for western parts of Wales and the West Country as well, leading to some icy stretches. Met Office warnings out right through the rest of the weekend into the beginning of next week. As we go through Sunday, plenty of sunshine across central and eastern parts of England, but wintry showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, western fringes of England and Wales. Some of these will be on the wintry sides, will be heavy with hail and snow and could lead to further accumulations and icy stretches. Temperatures struggling to rise much above freezing, leading to another very cold night into Monday morning. So another frosty start, icy stretches, warnings remain in place. Through the day we'll see some sleet and snow showers, but plenty of winter sunshine as well. And then it just gradually becomes a little less cold as we head towards the middle of the week, with still some rain and snow around.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland. We're on an amazing Arctic adventure to celebrate our greatest cash giveaway, a simply stunning £85,000. And in 2026, we're giving you the chance to win it all.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday